Now, I definitely think, yeah, you're right. The academy are growing. Most definitely. I think we've come a long way to to where we was before, and
Yeah,
until now. And I think it's only going to get bigger. I think it's going to evolve even more.
yeah.
And it's definitely yeah, it's definitely gonna. Is this you, Craig? Oh yeah, yes.
Yeah, I just sent a request. Yeah,
I just added you now.
cool.
It's definitely gonna make. It's definitely gonna put a lot of athletes in different backgrounds to evolve. I'm talking about just not taekwondo roots, but I'm talking those who are doing other type of martial art, because the gates opening in Great Britain right now where they're formulating people with different martial art,
Yeah,
and they're bringing them into the system, and they are evolving because taekwondo is evolving. New systems are always being built,
yeah.
a nice changing of the game as it is today. So yeah, so I definitely think the way that is going at the moment of how it's evolving and how other sports are now formulating. Hi Samira, by the way. Samira is my sister, by the way. She's just gave birth
Okay.
in Qatar. Yeah, so
Wow.
she's a, so
Congratulations.
she's a
Congratulations,
new
Samira.
mom.
Yeah, okay. And I
So
think
she's a
Keon
mom.
wants you to recognize Keon TKD.
What's
If I
good?
pronounced that right.
Kian. Oh, hi, Kian.
What's up,
Hi,
Keon?
everyone. Hi, everyone. We're just having a conversation regarding our sports and stuff. So if you joined us, stay tuned. Stay tuned. We're gonna still be here. We're not going nowhere. So yeah. So before we cut off, there was two questions. So Nicola, which is Sky's. I think that's Sky's parents, isn't it? Yeah. So what has been one of your biggest achievement of your life lesson through your taekwondo journey?
That's to you, right?
That's for us.
Oh, it's for us? Oh, well, go
Yeah,
for it.
that's
Go
for
for it.
us.
Go for it. Go for it. Go for it. You go.
Um, Biggest achievement or life lesson. Um, I would say over the course of time, the things I probably developed the most as a human being, I would say patient. Patience has been one of the biggest thing that I've kind of admired today. I don't tend to want to rush things. I tend to take my time. It might sometimes affect some people when they want to work a little bit more faster. It's just because I always think there's always the right time to do things, or should we say the right time to be able to connect all the dots before you do anything. So that's why I'm really, really patient in what I do, even with waiting for results or waiting for response. I'm very patient for people to get back, and I think that's something that I've hired as a skill, should we say. In Taekwondo, I would say the the achievement in Taekwondo, I probably would say going to my first Olympic Games in 2016 was definitely a scar that I will always have. Having your first Olympic Games, you can never forget it. It's always going to be in your mind. It's always going to be in your thoughts. And mine is still today. Going to my first Olympic game. For me was one of the biggest, proudest, but one of the biggest and proudest moments for me, because I went out there with no expectations. I went out there to perform and do my absolute best, and just get the feel of the sport. I never actually, to be honest, I never actually believed I can go so far. I always believed in my ability, but I did not believe I can go that far. So seeing myself, at the medal fights, was something definitely that I definitely want to, recap when it comes to Tokyo, because that thoughts in my mind, and there's times really when I go to sleep, there's moment I think about what I could have done differently, like what I could have changed when I was fighting. These thoughts still run in my mind. So even till today, I'm still, thinking about when I'm going to be in Tokyo. What am I going to do? How am I going to perform? And that's what makes me excited. That's what gets me up in the morning to go in the gym now, because there's unfinished business there, and that is why I can't wait to when Tokyo kicks off. And then when I get in there, I just know it's going to be go time. And when I get there, it's just, I think it's going to be the relief of all the thoughts and the hard work that I've been doing to get there. And I believe that God willing is going to pay off. So that's for me, the achievement for me. What about you? What about you, Craig?
I think one thing that my journey, and I had a long journey. I was like 17 years, man. And I would say balance is important, yeah, and enjoy it. There's a number of lessons I learned. If you have an injury, okay, now it depends on where you're coming from, because you have some people that have injuries and make the most of them, and will take breaks all the time. And you have people like me that I broke my back and I was still training. And it was only till it got really, really bad that I had to stop that I stopped. So I would say if you know you have and you authentically you have a good work ethic, if you have an injury and it could be severe, just sit down on the floor right where you are. That's what I would say. Sit down, don't train, because I used to always be guilty. I feel guilty if I missed one session. If I missed one session, I was guilty. I felt guilty. People are working harder than me somewhere else, you know. So if you know you have a tough, what you're tough, you have a good work ethic and you don't make excuses. If you have an injury, one session off is not going to hurt you. I would say, and just enjoy it. I went all over the world for 17 years, and I can't tell you much about those places. I've been to Korea 8 times. I've been to China a couple of times. Went to the Great Wall. I've been to so many different places, but I didn't get to see much. So if I can say, if I have a conversation with someone and say I went to somewhere and they ask me about it, all it was hotel rooms and venues and airports, you know?
So true.
Seriously. So I've
It's so
been to
true.
so many places, and and it's like, but I can't tell you much about it. I didn't get to see much about it. I didn't enjoy my career as much as I was. I was so focused on in the ring that I missed a lot, I think. And so I would say enjoy it. Balance is important. Balance. Like if you have an injury, take a break. Change it. Maybe instead of working out, watch videos. Do some visualization, because that's just as much, if not sometimes more valuable than physically training. So don't mind taking a break. Even if you go to the gym to support the rest of your teammates, go there. Like Jib was telling me that the other day. But take care of your body. Take care of your body, because the injuries that you get, especially the severe ones, they never leave you. What happens is that you have to add different aspects to your training to take care of them. So because I tore my groin a couple of times, what I later on in my career I had to do like groin strengthening exercises just to maintain them from tearing again. Because of my back, I had to have an extra strong core in the future to make sure that I didn't have injuries with that again. So take care of your body, because a lot of some of the injuries that you have, and what you might find when you get older is you can develop arthritis, in areas where you break bones. Now, this is long term. I know for some of you guys that are still fighting, you want to know, okay, how do I go to Tokyo? What do I need to win? What do I need to focus on to be a champion and to win and to go to the Olympics and be where you are right now, Cho? I know a lot of you want to hear that, you know, and you do need to focus on that. But I say I always think it's good to have one eye ear and one eye on the future, you know, because otherwise what happens is when you finish, and I think this goes back to Asida's question about what do you think about your future. This is to you, I think, Joe. When he's talking about what do you think about your future
Yeah, my
right now,
future.
you're in the center of everything. Later on, you'll just be a normal guy. That's
Yeah,
why I feel like it's important for you to think of having one eye on the future. What are you going to
yeah,
do after? What is this
mm,
going towards? Because what's going to happen is that, and a lot of athletes struggle with this, is the transition from athlete to post athlete. And that's a big area that I'm focusing on right now, is that what do athletes do, when they, and if you look on my YouTube channel, you will see that there's been some videos about athletes when they're coming towards the end of their career. I don't want to speak too much about this, because that's for a different day and for a different topic, because really and truly you're getting ready for Tokyo. That's more important. And so I feel like for issues that probably the current fighters, we want to make sure that we help them, encourage them, give them tools that they can use, and inspiration and motivation to, to be where you are right now. But I would say enjoy the moment. Try and enjoy the present. If you're in a place, don't worry about what's not happened yet. Just make sure you do the most in the present. If every time you're at training, you're training hard, you're doing enough. You know, do you know what I mean? You're
Yeah, I
doing
totally
enough
agree.
right now. If you're doing a week, if you're training, if you're going to a week training camp, and in every session you're working hard, as long as you structure it, like, okay, I'm going to spend time doing visualization. I'm going to make sure I'm eating the right food. I'm going to make sure I do these things in training. If you've ticked all the boxes, don't worry about outside of it. Enjoy the rest
Yeah.
of your life. Enjoy the rest of what you're doing, because it
Mm,
can become all consuming, you
mm,
know, and especially for you, Cho, now, I would say don't focus on it 100%, but have some idea, like Asida said, have some idea or some thoughts about what you want to do afterwards and what's this going to become. Do you want to
mm,
become a mental coach? Do you want to work in business? Do you want to go in and do, talks to businesses? Do you know what I mean? Do you want to start your own club? Do you know what I mean? Think about
yeah.
what you want to do, because when I finished my career, I decided I'm going back to school. So the last 2 years of my career, I went back to university in the US. Now
Mm,
I'm finishing my master's degree. If I did that earlier, I could have went straight into mental performance. I could have went straight into sports psychology as soon as
mm,
I finished competing. Some
yeah.
athletes are transitioning straight into career afterwards. If you think about Andy Deere, went straight into coaching the para taekwondo.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
Damon straight into AI and commentating. These guys are
Mm,
going straight into stuff.
mm,
Try and think about what you're gonna do, and they haven't lost steam. They're still
mm,
motivated. They're still encouraging.
mm,
Their career hasn't ended with their athlete career. Their career's only gone on. It's just transformed.
mm,
A lot of
yeah.
athletes, when they finish, they go down, boom, and then they have to try and pick themselves up again.
Yeah.
That's why I
Yeah.
rate Damon. I rate Damon. I rate what's his name, Andrew Deere, because they've transitioned smoothly into something else, and they're
Yeah.
having fun with it.
Mm,
So I
yeah.
would
Yeah.
think about that. Think about that. Think about how can I transition smoothly into something else and still feel passionate about it, because people retire and they've lost a part of themselves. So much
Yeah.
identity is into Taekwondo. They lose a
Mm,
part of themselves when they retire, you
yeah.
know, and then they
Yeah.
feel lost.
I agree.
So I would think it's probably a bit early for you to start thinking about this stuff, but
Yeah.
it's not early for you to focus on it, but it's definitely early. It's not early for you to think about it, though, to
Yeah.
give it some thought, you know.
Mm,
That's
yeah.
and that's this is for you, actually,
Mm,
because a lot of this. When I went to my last World Champions 2017. Yeah, you don't know how many athletes were in their mid to late 30s just saying. There was some from the Dutch team, some from different countries in the world, like Honduras. There was I can't remember how you pronounce his name, that Dutch player. They were like, I'm just gonna go to the next Olympics and see how it goes. That's a common mindset to these older athletes. I'm just gonna go to the next one. I'm just gonna go to the next one. There's no. They're just hanging on. They're just continuing on because they're in the absence of anything else.
mm,
Don't be like that. Don't be
yeah.
like that. Try and think about your transition early and make it be healthy. You're still gonna be the athlete. You're still gonna be the personality you are. You're still gonna be Cho. You're still
Mm,
gonna be you are Cho who does Taekwondo. Okay, you are. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. We
You
just
are
got
more
Ramos
than
has just joined
Taekwondo.
in.
Yeah. Who's that?
Ramos has joined in from the
Hey,
club.
hola Ramos. ¿Cómo estás? Okay, yeah, but you are more than Taekwondo. All right. Don't
Mm,
get your identity so tied up into it that when you stop, you're like, who am I now? You know?
yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the
I totally agree.
challenge. That's the
Mm,
challenge. Make sure that you remember that you are this fun, motivating character, as well, who can be of value to businesses, to people, to schools. You can make a very lucrative business. You can still be who you are because you
mm,
are more than Taekwondo. A lot of people don't realize that they're more than Taekwondo, and
yeah.
they experience loss when they stop competing. And that's
Yeah.
what I'm working a lot with right now. There's a lot of athletes stuck in that boat in every sport,
Mm, mm,
dealing
mm,
with
mm,
that loss. They didn't have some plans for afterwards. They didn't transition smoothly. So have one eye on that, but focus on Tokyo first. But have an eye, at least some time to think about where am I going with this afterwards? Because for me, I never thought about retiring for the first 10 years of my career. It
Yeah.
never came into my mind. I never thought about what I'm going to do next.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. I get you
So
totally.
yeah.
No,
So
you're absolutely right.
think about that. Mhm.
So you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. As I said, exactly, Craig. Give the future some thought and think how you would prepare. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely agree. I think that that thought naturally comes when you're coming to the latter stage of your career. When you know that you're going to finish after a certain period of time.
Yeah.
But I think even though we shouldn't wait till then, I think
Yeah.
even as we are doing our career, I think we should have some type of idea to try to like probably do the qualification as needed, as acquired to do that, even
Yeah.
before your career comes to an end. So then that way, you got that plan B as soon as you're done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As we know, our sport is not forever. Some people have to retire because injury occurs, and then they start thinking about other things because they didn't expect them to finish so early in their
Yeah.
career. Do you know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't think you just have to kind of wait to the end of your career. I think you should probably think about that even during your career when you're young to make sure that you got the qualification or you need some type of diploma to be able to get you to where you want to be going. Because I think that's very, very important. I think when we get so, should we say, like the career that we're in becomes our clothing line that we thought is never going to be taken off anymore. And then when that clothing's been taken off, you're like, right, what else can I go and do? I think that's where you kind of seem to be lost in almost.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of very important for everyone that's listening that to make sure that they are thinking about what they're gonna do next because there's always a next.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
when you're an athlete. What I want to talk about next is, and for me, I think for you as well, it's big in
Yeah.
our life. It's our
Yeah.
religion, like how
Yes.
important our religion is for both of us. I'm a Muslim, you're a Christian,
Yep.
and we used to exchange a lot of words, didn't we, regarding our faith
Yeah.
when we was when we're back, and we kind of came to term that our values was in the same like the same borderline,
Yeah.
going forward. And it's something that you said when we was chatting about this last time. You were saying how back then it was almost secretive, like people wasn't talking about it as much.
Yeah.
It was more
Yeah.
just between you and your faith.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And now I think people are kind of making it almost like a fashion type
Yeah,
of
yeah, that's
thing,
what I was saying. I was saying
more than
you made
anything.
it fashionable, man. You made it fashionable to a big extent, and it's great because, and you know what? Actually, I'm part of like a devotional group with Richard Allen, John Cullen, and John Cullen reminded me of a time where one of my coaches says, "Don't pray before you go on there, in case the referees are against you.
Mm,
Like, don't do. Maybe you should be careful about doing the sign of the cross or praying before you go onto the mat, in case the referees, they don't like that." And I'm thinking in my mind, listen, I don't care what the referee likes. Maybe I just need to
yeah,
knock this guy out. Then the referee can't say nothing. Do you know what I mean? But it's like for me,
yeah,
it's like, but yeah, it's like. So I used to do it a lot of just, and you know what? There's scripture that says, when you pray to your Lord, pray in secret, and He will reward you openly. So I'm okay with that, because do you know what I mean? And I feel
yeah,
like it's more of the character that you portray, isn't,
mm,
because some people will claim to be Christian or Muslim, but their behavior and their actions and the way they carry themselves does not represent that. It doesn't show that. Or do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's you want to carry yourself in a certain way that people ask you, what is it that's different about you? There's something different about you. I don't know what it is. And then it gives you a chance to minister, or I don't know how you would describe it,
yeah,
as a Muslim, you know
yeah. Mm.
but
No,
but for me the way, so like I said, for me it was more, I would, I'd do my own, I would worship my God. I would, do my devotions my own way. I would go and pray throughout a competition, but I'd go and do it somewhere else, like in the changing
yeah,
room or wherever, or I'll find my space to do it, or I would even do it while I'm standing up, with my eyes
mm,
closed, because you don't
yeah,
you can, you can pray, in my faith, you can pray as you are,
oh,
so we can come to the throne of God and whenever we want to, So, but for, like I said, for me, it was like I used to do it. I used to kind of, just shield it a little bit, because I knew that my team at the time, I don't know what their relationship was with spirituality and with faith, but and I didn't know if it was the same as mine, and so. Do you know what I mean? But like I said, I feel like you've made it fashionable, and I think it's great because it's a part of who you are, and you shouldn't have to shield that. There's no Cho without your faith. There is no Cho without your faith. Yeah,
it is true. You know what?
Yeah.
At first, I was kind of, growing up, because obviously when you're looking at what's going on in the media, and you're seeing how religion are being spoken about in different limelight. My biggest thing is not to offend anyone. My intention is never to offend anyone. It's always to show a strong front and show them that the path that I walk is what I believe in. Do you know what I mean? But it's never to offend anyone or trying to prove anyone wrong in any way. It's always been my way of being. And as you can see, all of my friends are in different paths of faith. And I love them as equally to anybody else, and I walk with them, and I will support them, and I will always be there for them if they need me be. And that is always how I've always been. So it's never to project who's right and who's wrong. It's always to project of who I am as my identity, who I am as a person.
Absolutely.
So everywhere that I walk, the faith will always walk with me, and whenever I never change my aspect of thinking or how to be. I just kind of just go with the flow of how I live my day-to-day life. And I think for me today what I have to prioritize is that whenever I'm in the limelight or speaking to individuals and whatnot, is the most important is to make sure that they know my character, they know who I am. So if I'm going to be on a social network and they're very much aware of what character I am, I wouldn't have to explain myself when I'm face to face. Do you know what I mean? And I think that transcends to when the physical appearance and behind the screen it has to kind of link. So for me it's a big factor for me, and then like I said to a lot of people out there, I think we are coming to terms where today we kind of hide our faith, or we kind of hide or filter our words or way of being, and it kind of you kind of lose your own identity along the way because you're thinking more about the public eye, of what they're doing and what they're saying, and you're thinking I shouldn't say this, I shouldn't do that. But I think you need to be your own person, and your own person is your true self. So I think your true self should always be shown. Whatever religion that you were in, it should be shown, it should be practiced, and I think that's the imagery people want to see, the real you, your real character. And I think when you show that, that's what allows people to to kind of transcend into, okay, this is who he is, I know what he does because that's what he shows us, and there's no there's no front, that's what he is. And I think that's very important.
I think so. Richard wanted to remind me of like the time when we were qualifying for when we were getting ready to qualify for Athens 2004. Richard got us all to pray together. It was me, Paul Green, Sarah Stevenson, Sarah Bainbridge, and even John Wright as well. And even for John, I mean, as my coach, we had a great relationship. But even then, he had to acknowledge, because right before that qualification, my dad passed away like a week before. So I just buried my dad, and then the next week I was going to Olympic qualifiers. And so he had to acknowledge that, listen, there was something special about today. I'm sure your dad was watching, and then Richard, like he said, Richard got us all to pray together, and every single one of us qualified. I'm telling you, we on that team, it was Richard, John Wright, this Scottish doctor, I can't remember his name now, and Gary Hall. That was it. There was them four and us four, and every single person qualified, And so, and I'll never forget that time, But
that's definitely a memory to never forget. Do you know what you saying that? It's when I mean about a togetherness of being together and doing things together, no matter what that person's faith is,
Yeah.
because there's a great deal of respect between you guys. I think that's the thing I kind of learned, growing up into different communities and knowing different backgrounds. Being in the Ivory Coast, it's kind of like one heritage. Everybody's the same. Everybody knows that we all do the same thing.
Yeah.
We all together and whatnot. But when I came out of there and came into to England, it's different. Everybody does
Yeah.
different things, and you
Yeah.
can't just say because they're doing some different things, you can't get to understand them and accept them for who you are. You
Yeah.
have to, because that's what the religion teaches us, to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
being with friends that from different countries, different parts of the world, I value that very much.
Yeah.
So like for example, one of my closest friend, Obam, the first Olympic medalist for Gabon,
Yeah.
he's a Christian family, and he's he's big in that. His family are big in it as well, and he
Yeah.
has friends who are Muslim. Some of them are Christian, and we get together.
Yeah.
And we get
Yeah.
together. When we get together, the mom comes in, she makes a big meal. There's a big meal on the table. We're all seeing all the chicken, the meat, everything's on the table, ready to, have a feast. But before we have that feast, we pray.
Yeah.
There's no one going to say, why, who's going to do the Muslim prayer? Who's going to do the Christian prayer? Nah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just designate someone
Yeah.
and they just do the prayer. And normally,
Yeah.
majority of the time, it's the mom. The mom does
Yeah.
the prayer. We all hold hands, and she
Yeah.
does the prayer, and then we all say Amen at the end. And then when we're done, we eat, and we are together in that bond. And that is what it's like. You know what I mean? We all appreciate each other's faith. We all tolerate each other in the same way. We all love each other in the same way. But we all got different faiths, but we still get along. There's no difference just because of the faith. The faith allows us to grow as individuals, but it doesn't separate us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It brings us a bit much closer because we've got something we believe in, and that's and I think that's how we should grow as a community. I think that's how we should be able to, develop, a community that becomes so great when
Yeah.
everybody appreciates each other in such way to grow.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? That's the great thing about Taekwondo, because when I think about it, I'm reminded of a time me and Jib went to Costa Rica. Me and Jibril Malik went to Costa Rica. I think it was it might have been 2014, 2014, I think it was. And it's like, so he's a Muslim, I'm a Christian. We're sharing a hotel room. I'll be praying and he'll be praying. We're in the same room. I mean, sometimes, in the US, it's like sometimes there can be a little stigma, sometimes attached to like people that, of the Muslim faith, this, that, and the other. And I'm always trying to encourage people to understand that in the US, it's like, because you have a lot of, it's a lot of places where, it's very segregated in many parts of the US, and sometimes there's stigma attached to, because of the media, you got stigma attached to people, of different, from different backgrounds, different faiths. I try to explain to people sometimes that you do realize that there's Muslims with blue eyes and blonde hair, and they didn't, not by what's the word? Not by converting. It's in their family. You know what I mean?
Family.
You
Yeah,
do
yeah, yeah,
understand
yeah.
that Muslim is
Yeah.
not a Muslim is not a race, it's a faith. Some people
Mm.
don't know that in the
Don't know that.
US,
Oh
they don't
wow.
get that, and explaining it to them is interesting, and
Mm.
it's like, but for me, the fact that that we don't, it doesn't come into the conversation, we just
Yeah.
acknowledge each other, we accept each other, we love each other, and then I can be in the room with Jib and he can pray at his designated times, and then I'll just pray the way I do, and then we go training, or do we go get lunch or whatever. Do you know what I mean? The
Nice.
fact that you
Nice.
can coexist like that,
Mm.
and it's not a problem.
Beautiful.
Sometimes being here, it's like, it seems like there always has to be a conversation about why people are different. It's
Mm.
like why does there always have to be a conversation that highlights why you're different to somebody else? You
Mm.
know? Do you
Yeah.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
That's
get it.
that's
I get
that's
it.
what I struggle with. You know, I shared that in one of the, because I work in the multicultural affairs department in my college. I shared in the meeting that I our group, our WhatsApp group. You got
Yeah.
Ivory Coast Muslim. You got Pakistan. You got Morocco. You got you got Jamaica, you got England, you got, you got all these different countries. Yeah. Never does race come into the conversation. Never does faith come into the conversation. Never do we feel the need to say, okay, we need to make sure we talk about this, talk about that. Never do we need to do that, And we don't. I mean, and not to say that doesn't need to happen elsewhere. I get it. The US is a different place, But for me, it's like I just find it challenging that we always have to we have to always highlight these things all the time, and that's a struggle for me sometimes, and I work in this department, and I see the disparities. I see the disparities in different communities, and I see how, I see the need and how equality, we need to make sure that we work towards, racial equity. I 100% get that, but at the same time, I feel like we don't always have to have conversations about why we're different. We can have conversations about what we have in common. And the reason why we don't have to have those conversations, because we share a passion for sport. We share a passion for, for high achievement, for strong work ethic, for achieving goals, for being authentic, because the ring is a place of honesty. You will find out when you fight someone good or better than you, and you learn to respect your martial art and respect your fellow. You respect their work ethic. You can't buy power in Taekwondo like you can buy a gun in the real world. You can't buy it. You can't go to the shop and buy a gun and have that power. You have to earn that power in martial arts. You have to train hard. You have to work hard. The journey through attaining skill in Taekwondo and martial arts, you develop a respect for it, and you develop a respect for others that have achieved it. You can't just buy that, and that respect for each other transcends anything else. And that's why we have our group, and we just converse and we just chill. We got too much to talk about, and we got so much that unites us, and that's controversial for some people, for a lot of people to say stuff like that. But I'm blessed to be a part of a group of people that is so diverse, and yet we don't even think about those things when we communicate.
No, we don't. We don't. I think I believe it's like a thought process when it's been put on the table as a conversation. Do you know what I mean? I think for us in particular, do you know what I mean? Until that conversation comes on the table, then it's like, okay, there's thoughts and ideas. But before that, it's not even on our mind, because we are so far away from that to the point it's not even an issue. Do you know what I mean? And I think and I think that's what our sport done. Do you know what I mean? For us, in relation of how to be together, how to get on together, how to accept one of another, and how to respect each other as well at the same time. Because everybody that steps in the ring with you is someone to be respected, because that person has been grafting the way that you've been doing. And also whoever wins between that person, there's a respect boundary, because you're both working for that same goal, and that's to get the W. That's to get the medal around your neck, and that has to be respected between athletes. So I think whatever country comes in front, I think that's what made us outside of the ring to accept whoever that person is, because we travel the world, we experience different culture, and we explore those culture, and we respect those cultures, and we understand each other in a way on the level of our sport. So I think that's what makes us a disciplined individual in our domain. That's what Taekwondo has done for me in particular, and probably you will agree as well for you too. That allowed us to learn, and also grow as a person, in different parts of the world. For us, I think for me that's probably the biggest learning curve in our sport, for me in particular anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm humbled by that, and I, the lessons that we've learned from this sport, I feel like are so transferable,
Yeah.
and I just feel like if we sometimes we sell ourselves too short, in because one thing I learned from this sport is that we can learn anything.
Hmm.
You know, one thing I learned from, you know, like working on myself as an athlete, as a person, you know, is that even a technique that I wasn't good at, through repetition, I could learn it. You know, from, you know, it's like leaving Taekwondo, like moving on from Taekwondo and going back to school. It's like, it's like, you know, you know, I'm set to get a 4.0, which is like basically a first in my master's degree. You know, I wasn't even a school person when I went to school. You know, I wasn't a school person when I went to school. You know, but yet I go back into school with the mindset that I got from martial arts, and it's like there's nothing I can't do. It's like now it's like you're kind of sport for choice, because I know if I apply my mindset to learning in martial arts to anything else, I will learn it. It's not if I will learn it, it's when.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a question of if, it's when. It might take me longer than someone else, but once I've made a decision and I know how to practice something, it's over. It's a wrap. I'm going to learn it, whether it's a language, whether it's a degree, whether it's a new skill. Like when I came to America, I started pick up the guitar. You know, yeah, I mess around. You know what I mean? It's like
You pick up the guitar, yeah?
yeah. Well, I mean, just normal chords, but do you know what I mean? It's like. But it's the same thing. It's repetition, man. You just the same thing. You do like you do a 500 kicks a day. You do, you know, you do the finger exercises how many times a day, you know. And it's not if you learn it. It's just when. It's not a question of if. It's not a question of if, you know. Whatever skill you, whatever new technique, whatever it is, you know, you apply visualization, you apply repetition for it's a wrap. It's a wrap. You can learn anything. And that's one thing, that's one of my biggest, and I probably should have answered that question. I should have added that to my answer earlier for, I think it was Kane, but like you can learn anything. You know, that's one thing that I got. That's one thing that I learned from my experience with Taekwondo. There's nothing you can't learn. You know, you just gotta just really apply yourself.
No, you're definitely right. Okay, Instagram is going a little bit weird.
Yeah.
On my phone. Oh, I think we're back now. I think we're back now. Yeah, we're back now. So yeah, guys, if it does cut off, just go on to Facebook, because my phone is on 4%. So like it's about to
okay, cool.
So if it does cut off, just go on Facebook. We're on Facebook on is the Maximum Performance page.
Yeah, maximizing performance. Yeah.
So if it does cut off on Instagram, just go on Facebook. We'll still be there. And just go over there, okay? Yeah. So the other thing that I wanted to quickly touch base on, and I don't know if you agree with this. Would you say parents make athletes? Because there's this this subject that I've been talking with even with private sectors, like trying to understand their way. Like I always ask them the question: do you think your parents probably?
Say that again, Joe.
I said to them, I said, do you think parents? Can you hear me?
1 second. Give me a minute.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on with my sound, man.
Oh, okay. Steph says she can't hear me. Can you guys just let me know if you can hear me back there real quick? Can you hear me? Can you? Okay, so they just said it. Can you hear me, Craig?
Yeah, I can hear you now. But I just got I got sound going on twice here.
Can't hear Cho at the moment. Okay. Hang on, guys. We're gonna try and fix this real quickly.
Yeah. I got too much volume going on over. I don't know what's going on over here. 1 second.
Can you guys hear me now on Insta?
All right, cool.
Just give us a thumbs up or something if you can hear me now, guys, on Instagram.
Hello, I can hear you now. I fixed it.
Can you hear me
Sorry
now?
about that. I fixed it. Yeah, I fixed it.
I'm just trying to see if people can hear me on Instagram, because they said they can't hear me.
Oh, they can't? Yeah, I can't hear you on Instagram. That's what I was trying to hear you on.
Okay,
I was trying to hear you on Insta. I can't hear you on Insta either.
Okay, that's a bit bizarre. Okay, so it's
I can hear you on Facebook. But...
I can hear. Okay, so they can hear you, but they can't hear me. So something must be up. Right. 2 minutes, guys. Let me do a recall on Insta then.
Yeah, go for it.
Let me do
We're
a
still on
recall
Facebook
Insta,
though.
right?
Yeah.
No, it's still on Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Do a recall. Let me share this real quick.
Man,
I don't know why. It's done now. Doing this.
and it is hot.
So,
you know what it's like where you
while
are.
I'm here.
I'm
gonna get.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get my Just gonna get a charger for this real quick and just set this up here.
Or is your phone dying?
It's on 2%. Here we go. Let me get this. Set this up here. Ooh. Gonna need a plug area. All right, changing location.
Are you moving things around?
Yeah.
Yo, we're gonna be talking all day, you know. We might as well just you might as well just like, you know, save some for the next episode, man.
we will. Just like another 5 minutes and then
okay.
We can let the people go. Just real quick. Let me just put this on real quickly. Okay. We're on here. This. Bam.
Right.
Bam.
Oh, there we go.
What's up, guys? We're not gonna be too long. We're just gonna like do a little 5-10 minutes, and then we'll just wrap up. All right?
Yeah, I just sent you an invite. Yeah, because we need to think about like other topics to talk about, man.
There's loads.
I know.
Loads. But I was saying, can everybody hear me?
I think I can hear you now. Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Okay, wicked.
Yeah.
So what I was saying before was around the question of I was having this conversation with with like different people, even with the private sectors. The question that I had was, would you say that parents make athlete or parents make individuals' careers? Because I would, like, for me as an essence, my parents obviously put me into the sport, always motivated me to get and driven me to be able to, to do what to do what I'm doing today. Would you say it's more or less down to the parents or what path you take in regarding to your career, or would you think it's more or less influence from the outside that changes the aspect of the individual?
So do you think the parents make the athletes? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You know what? To be honest with you, I think it's changing. I think when I grew up, I feel I can hear a bit of an echo. Do you have your headphones plugged in?
I do have my headphone plugged in. Hang on.
I'm hearing an echo.
Wait there. Can you hear now?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Is there an echo?
Got what? Maybe a little bit. But that's okay now. That's good now.
Okay, fine.
But what I'm saying is like, for me, it's like, I feel like when I was a kid, my mom wasn't involved in my career. You know, she wasn't really involved when I was coming up. It was something that I did on my own.
Yeah.
You know, and I think in London, in London, because it's so easy to travel and get about, I feel like it's easy to do that. You know, and I feel like for me, I wasn't babied by my parents. You know what I mean? To a point where I feel like some people are now. You know, so for me, it was like, I feel like for me, it was, I don't know, your parents always have an impact, you know, of course. And it depends on how involved they were. You know, when I was growing up, my dad wasn't around as much, you know, and I used to do a lot of things on my own. Like I'd be out playing all day. You know, in my neighborhood, kids would be out playing all day. You know, that was before mobile phones, and you had computer games, but we used to play like football all the time, you know? So when I was growing up, it was a bit different. But I feel like now, especially in the US now, where I am now in the US, is like, to get anywhere, you need to be able to drive most of the time, you know? So that if you're a kid, you ain't going nowhere if your parents aren't taking you. You know, you aren't really gonna do much of activities. Parents are over here, parents have ridiculous schedules to get their kids to activities, you know. They be running around crazy after their kids, taking them to different things.
Yeah.
You know, and so parents are a lot more involved, I feel like, in their children's sporting background. Now that can be positive or negative, because you get sometimes the parents that are over involved,
Yeah.
arguing with coaches, thinking they know better, you
Mm.
know, baby and their kids, you know. So it can, but then you have some parents that know how to support without getting too involved. And then it's a blessing, because then now, like, their kids, yeah, and they have their parents that have the finances as well to send them everywhere, because Taekwondo is expensive right now. If you don't have money, you can't travel everywhere to go to his Grand Prix and go to his Opens, you know.
That's true.
So it depends, you know. I feel like the parents have a chance to either be really helpful or they can be detrimental in this day and age. And it's important and that's why, even from my perspective as a mental performance coach, I do work with parents, because parents need to know how to support their kids in the right way if they want their kids to really excel in their sport. They can't get overly involved. They can't baby them. They need to. What it's just like if you have two parents. You know, if you have two parents on a different page, you know, it's confusing to the child. The child will know how to work one parent against the other, know how to get what they want, you know. And it's the same way if you think about it with, like, because sometimes as a coach you play some sort of a parental role depending on the age of the athlete. When they get older, it's more here, but when they're a kid, it's more like here. And you kind of need to be on the same page with the parent. Otherwise, the parent can undo a lot of the work you're doing, or you can undo a lot of the work of what the parent's doing, you know. So like, if you're trying to push the child to push themselves, step outside of their comfort zone, but they go home and they be babied, then that defeats the object, because then they're probably not going to be as invested in training. They're gonna, they're not going to be as strong. They're not going to feel the need to push themselves as much, because, do you know what I mean? So you need to be on the same page with the parent. The parent's role is important, you know. And I feel like a parent can do a lot of good, or they can actually work against the athlete's best interests. You know,
That's
so
amazing.
that's what I've seen with, parental input
Yeah.
but definitely from your aspect, if you got a strong parental figures, they can definitely instill a lot of mindset, a lot of good positive values, and, you know, into you, you know. But like your dad did, you know, my dad, even though he still installed some good attitudes into me, even though do you know what I mean, he still did do
Yeah.
that, and they paid dividends. But the same way you can have a father like your dad or my dad, or a coach like, you know, that we've had coaches, you can also have the opposite. You can have parents and coaches that don't help you have that strong mindset.
Yeah,
You know,
no, you're right.
you know.
For all you
So,
African parents out there, let your child do what he wants. You
you
know,
know.
my community, they told the children straight away, my child's going to be a doctor. No, he doesn't want to be a
Eh,
doctor.
that's
You're
right.
forcing
You
him.
know, that's right. He's going to. If you're not a
He's going
doctor or a lawyer, they're like they're not. They don't want to hear it.
they don't want
If
to
you're
hear
not,
it.
yeah,
They
you know,
don't want to hear
yeah.
it. But
Because
it's
when they
just,
have the
but you're definitely right.
conversations, yeah, my son,
My son.
he's going to be a politician. You know, a doctor. You know, yeah, it's like if you ain't in those roles, they're not interested. You know,
It's so true.
you know,
It's so true.
but
Yeah, so
yeah,
true. But
but
you're definitely right. Parents are definitely a big part, to
they are a
everything.
big part. And I'm not trying
Uh,
to be negative about parents. It's just to say that they have a very important role,
role,
you
yeah.
know, and it doesn't always come naturally, you
Mm,
know. It's to know how to really help your child. It doesn't come naturally, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes,
yeah.
just for some people it might, and for some people it might not. If you don't have a sporting background or a combat background, you
Mm,
know, I mean, usually if someone helps themselves, you know, if a baby falls over, or I don't know, if someone hurts himself, you want to parent is it's the natural parental reaction to want to comfort them, you know, and make sure
exactly.
they're okay and this, that, and the other.
Mm,
But in an area like such as combat and
mm,
stuff like that, you know,
mm,
it can be detrimental because they need,
sometimes.
if you can't comfort them in the middle of a fight, they get kicked in the face. You know,
Mm,
you can't.
mm,
You
mm,
can't. They need to be
you're
able to
correct.
stand on their own. You know,
Mm,
to a certain degree. You know, and
mm,
so yeah, I went on a bit about that, but it's important. It's
it's
just
important.
that parents need to be educated and coached as well. You know,
Yeah,
that's
you're
what I
right.
would say.
You're right.
Mm.
Now, Craig, you know what? I think we're gonna
Mm.
give it a cut
Yeah,
there,
we need
so
to.
because
We need to.
community,
Yeah.
because we're gonna be, there's more stuff that we can speak, but then we can definitely speak about. But we're gonna definitely tune in again soon, to to have a discussion, and hopefully
Yeah.
next time when we do this, obviously this is our first one, so it's gonna be a minute to come. So we're gonna probably put like a question box where you can put topics that you want us to talk about
Yeah.
in
That'd be
regard
cool.
to any situation that might probably affect anyone at home, or if the parents have any questions or whatnot. These
Yeah.
thoughts and ideas are our own experience of what what we had, and then we're just happy that we can share them with you guys. And also, we're very fortunate to have someone like Craig, who's a performance coach, and I think it's really, really valuable, listening to him and taking on some advice. Because even though while I'm sat here speaking to him, I'm getting coached. I'm taking in all these advice for myself, and it's very refreshing. To now go and start my Monday ready to go. So
There you go.
yeah, so definitely appreciate you, man. I really appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We're all proud of you, Cho, man. All of us from London, and and we're behind you, man. And Tokyo 2020, man. You know, you're not going there on your own. It's important to remember that you're not going there
Yeah,
on your own, man. You're not. You're
yeah,
gonna. And trust me, even if you have to pick up the phone from Tokyo to talk to any of us, pick up
yeah,
the phone, man. Say, listen, man. I need you to get me hyped up, man. I need to kill this guy.
so
Or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, just you
definitely,
have a support system. And so I'm sure it can get lonely sometimes. You got your wife, that's good as well. I'm sure she's
yeah,
with you, so that helps a lot. But you also have your support system as well.
yeah,
So 2021, man.
definitely.
Don't worry, man. We
Don't
got your
worry.
back, man. I'm
Oh,
telling you that.
no, but
Mm.
really appreciate you, man. I really appreciate you. But
Yeah,
thank you for always being there for me. You always inspired me, and yeah, man. I hope we can inspire many more people out there with what we're doing, and then yeah, man. Let's do this again soon.
yeah, we will, man. Let's see,
Definitely.
people got the questions. We'll come, we'll shoot
We'll
it, and
cover it.
All right,
So,
guys. So,
what
Stephanie.
did Steph say? Cho said TKD is a game for him. True stories.
There you go.
He
Go do
said
what you
true
got to
stories a
do.
game.
Those are comments
Like
there. I don't
playing
even know what's
tricks on
going on.
his opponents. You got to.
That head guard trick was legit. It won you the fight, man. What's the deal, man?
There you
Yeah,
go. Did
yeah,
it to rest.
yeah,
You got
yeah,
to.
yeah.
Don't play these tricks. You know what I mean? But we know Master Rich has got many tricks up his sleeves.
Of course, of course,
Hundred
of course.
percent, 100%.
You know.
But guys,
All right, guys.
much
All right,
appreciated, man. But
all right, man.
listen, we'll catch you guys very soon. Stay safe. God bless you. Love each other.
And this will be on YouTube as well. So if anyone wants to run it back, it's going to be posted. It's all, you can also see it on, I'm sure, on your page as well, right? You're going to be posting it as well.
Yeah, I saw it's on Instagram, so I posted everything that we spoke about. So you can watch it again if you want to, guys. Yeah. Bless up. Take care of each other. Stay safe. Love each other. See you later.
We'll catch up, man. All right, guys.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You're gonna stay on the Zoom?
Yeah, I'm just cutting it off.